In this lecture, I'm going to talk about Python classes. The contents of this lecture include what is class terminology and features, and I'll give you an example of a class. A class is a fundamental tool in object-oriented programming language that allows you to create objects with related data and functions and perform tasks with those data. A class has a name, an attribute, and methods to operate on data. An example of a class name is a calculator class, and it can have an attribute of a math calculation. It also can have an addition method to add numbers together, and you can pass 3 and 2 as data to that method to be operated on later on. This module of explaining class is called encapsulation module. The basic syntax of a class is as follows. You write the term class followed by a name and colon. Then it is followed by your methods and blocks of code and a return function. Then in order to call a method from a class to operate on data, you write down the name of the class followed by a dot and the method, then write the data in between parentheses. To create a simple class, you write down class followed by a name. Here we use user and colon. Then we pass it the term pass, which is a statement that doesn't do anything. So this user class doesn't do anything at the moment. To create class instances, what you've got to do is to write down the name of the instance, for example user1, and assign it to the class. So you write down the class name followed by parentheses. So we create 2 user instances here. We assign them to the user class. User instances are also referred to as fields that can hold data, so we can assign data to them later on. In order to pass data to class attributes, we write down the name of the instance dot a variable and then assign data to it using assignment operator. Here we assign first name and last name to both user instances. To do so, you write down user1.firstName equals a name. The first name here is actually a variable within the instance of the class. The last name is also a variable of the user1 instance of the class. We can also assign data to the same 2 variables of the second class instance, which is the second user. So write down user2.firstName equals Alan, let's say, user2.lastName equals West. We can also call these data back from the class instances by using print function. In order to get class outputs, you write down print, and in between parentheses you write down the name of the instance dot the name of the variable. So you can do that for all of the variables of all of the instances, or those that you need them. Here we need first and last name of the first user and the first and last name of the second user. We use 2 different print functions in order to separate them. Mark Brown was the first user's first and last name, and Alan West was the first and last name of the second user. So this is a simple way of creating class instances and variables, and also assigning data to them. In the next coming lecture, I'm going to talk about class features, and I'll show an example